AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You suck. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. It's 5 o'clock, quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Lane Kiffin's profile in Vanity Fair certainly got a lot of people's attention on Monday. The author of that profile, Chris Smith, was with us just about 45 minutes ago, if you want to catch up on that conversation. Well, the comment that garnered the most attention was the comment Lane Kiffin made about maybe having trouble to recruit black athletes to Mississippi. He offered a follow-up and an apology to our friend Wilson Alexander of On3 in a feature that Wilson wrote that dropped here on Tuesday. And Wilson's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Yo, man, how are you?
Doing all right, Matt. How are you this afternoon?
Doing awesome. How's the new gig?
Well, it's going well, but I still get to do stuff like sit down and talk to Lane Kiffin and still cover LSU as well. So it's a great blend. Was this feature that dropped here on Tuesday, was this already done before the Vanity Fair piece dropped? Oh, yeah. It was done at like 8 a.m. Monday morning, but just went back and added some things after Lane made that comment to Vanity Fair and reached out to Lane to see if he wanted to add any context to that comment on that after the backlash that it received anyway. So ended up editing it a little bit in that regard before it published this morning. So you didn't have a chance to cover Lane for long as an LSU beat writer, but would presume now you had an opportunity to spend some time with him to write this feature. Wilson, what was your reaction when you saw not only the comment from Vanity Fair, but then what he offered you sort of as an explanation today? So when Lane and I were talking in his office last Thursday, I got about 45 minutes with him, and he brought up recruiting differences, but not in that context. He did say at one point, that sometimes they would have people who had some concerns about coming to Ole Miss, but he kind of glossed over it. He certainly didn't say it had anything to do with race. At least that was in his comments to me. So it kind of surprised me when he saw that in the Vanity Fair piece, because I think the larger point was that he was making, or trying to make, in the comments that to me certainly was just that there's a difference in the kind of athletes that they can get at LSU. There's a proximity to talent in Louisiana and all those things that all of us and all your listeners would know about already. And so it definitely was a little bit surprising that he brought that up and went in that direction. I mean, Baton Rouge has its own fraught history with race. I mean, there's all those things. And so it just felt a little bit unnecessary to go that route in trying to explain his decision to leave. So it's just so interesting. To volunteer that. But I understand why it's going to be a lightning rod. But then again, anything Lane says will be. Wilson, I didn't think, however, that was the most interesting part of your story. I thought the quote in the third graph, it's the first quote that you wrote, was the most interesting piece of this. And it's when Lane Kiffin said, quote, "I know this will show for me being the right decision," meaning coming to LSU. It may not be this year because everybody's going to want to compare the two places and everything like that. It'll show in year 2 or 3. It's going to show that we have the same systems. We have all the stuff, that we brought it here, combined it with the branding of LSU, the ability to sign elite high school players. That will show. It may not be next year, but this wasn't a one-year decision. Is Lane Kiffin
tilling the soil for pumping the brakes on expectations in year one in Baton Rouge?
A little bit, especially compared to what Ole Miss might be able to accomplish next season. He knows that they have Trinidad Chambliss and Keywan Lacey returning. He referred to them, this didn't end up in the story, but he referred to them as two of the most dynamic offensive players in the entire country. Like, he knows that Ole Miss is bringing back some good players, specifically those two. And so he's very aware of the fact that everybody's going to be comparing what LSU does to what Ole Miss does. And so I think he is trying to maybe lay the groundwork a little bit for Ole Miss could end up having a better season. And also the fact that, this is kind of a continuation of him tamping down expectations too, right? Like, I remember in his first spring practice press conference, he kind of tried to do that. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of impossible when you've spent more than $40 million on the roster and LSU is really all in this year on trying to get to the playoffs. He can try that all he wants. It's just probably not going to happen, but that is sort of what I read his comments to be like.
There is no doubt. It's almost as if he would have been better served not going all in on this roster the way that they did, if that were the expectation, to sort of pump the brakes. But that feels like an impossibility.
On the other side, then, if you try to pump the brakes and then you do go to the playoff, you can kind of spin that too.
Sure. It's he's a fascinating guy, man. Look, you covered Ed Ogeron, you covered Brian Kelly. Now you've gotten at least to talk to Lane Kiffin. What has been your read or perception in whatever small amount of time, or maybe a lot of time, that you've gotten to spend with Lane?
So this is my first time meeting him and having any sort of extended conversation with him. And so I think I'm in the same boat as a lot of people in Baton Rouge. So, like, I'm still kind of figuring this guy out.
Yeah.
What I've sort of figured out so far is he is so aware of the conversation going on about him, and he really wants to be in the middle of it. It took me by surprise when I'm looking over his shoulder, and there's a bobblehead of him as the Tennessee head coach and an ornament of a miniature bottle of French's yellow mustard in his office. Can you? Who wants that? But he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind. He has this reminder of a night that 100,000 fans were so angry at him right there in his office, and he just doesn't seem to mind that kind of situation happens. That stuff seems to follow him. That's maybe one of the things that I've learned right off the bat.
Do you believe, and this is completely speculative, this is just your opinion, you can answer whatever you want. Do you believe his apology is sincere?
I think there is some sincerity to it. At the same time, he sort of, in his comments to me, he sort of continues to kind of double down a little bit, right? Like, he's still sort of saying, like, this is something that the Ole Miss pushed against when he was there, that they were having to try to battle against that. So I think there was some sincerity. There was multiple times in our conversation when he says how he is appreciative of Ole Miss and he thinks that there was this mutually beneficial 6-year relationship. He keeps wanting people to focus on how great the 6 years were and not how there was this messy exit at the end that was largely instigated by his actions, as well as the combination of Ole Miss not allowing him to coach in the playoff when he was about to leave for one of their rivals. And so I think there's some sincerity in it, but it also feels a little bit, just a little bit out of touch.
Yeah. That whole thing is like saying, aside from the play, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? It's hard not to focus on how the whole thing ended. That really is the story. I mentioned you, and Wilson Alexander's our guest here for a couple more minutes. Now with On3, you can get him on Twitter at WH Alexander, or as we affectionately say, at Whalesander. Hey, you, so I mentioned you covered Ed Ogeron, Brian Kelly, and Lane Kiffin. How would you maybe compare or contrast the three?
Oh, man. That is an interesting question.
You might need a lot more time to answer that.
I feel like we really do.
Yeah.
There's such different characters. And LSU now has had this, just so many interesting characters as football coaches. All of them are like interesting in their own ways. They can be controversial and they can be, so I guess they're similar in that way where they can all stir up controversy but in different ways, right? As football coaches, Lane's much more of, obviously, an offensive savant than the others. And there were times when, obviously Brian Kelly was much more like detached CEO. From what I've heard about Lane Kiffin is there is still that's somewhat of a a separation between him and the players to an extent. He's not necessarily spending tons and tons of time around them and like super buddy, because he's a little bit introverted. He doesn't come across that way on social media, but those who know him will say like he is an introverted person. But at the same time, he creates this environment in the football building where, like one longtime staffer said to me recently, there's just a focus on football again. Instead of worrying about like what colors things are and what the messaging looks like on the walls, it's like they're just sort of focused in on football. They want to let the players have fun within the constraints of what they're being asked to do. And so I guess those are some initial thoughts on how some of the similarities and differences. But yeah, we could definitely go for like a long time on those three men.
Lane Kiffin is chasing greatness after leaving Ole Miss for LSU. It's a feature story up over at On3 from our friend Wilson Alexander. If you want to read it, you can. You can follow him at WH Alexander on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. It's good to chat, man. Hopefully we bump into you around town. If not, I guess I would assume at Media Days down in Tampa, you'll be there?
I think so. Yeah, I hope to see you then.
All right. You think does On3 not – will they not send you to Media Days?
Oh no, I'm sure. I just don't know I don't know how much they're sending me to yet. You know, it's like they're sending us, but it's like, am I going there? Am I also going to Big 12? Am I going to ACC? I don't know my summer schedule yet.
Man,
but I hope so.
Lane Kiffin's going to be at Media Days, so I would imagine that every national college football writer is going to be at Media. Is going to be at
right.
SEC Media
That's
Days. Right. Wilson Alexander, thanks, man. It's great to catch up.
Thanks for the time. I appreciate it, Matt. You have a good afternoon.
You do the same. It's our pleasure. Wilson, happy for it, man. Got a gig at On3, national college football writer, and certainly deserving. He's one of the best. So it's also interesting. Let me break some time, and I'll follow up on that. We are brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com. You know, our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine. If you're a farmer, you're buying farm land, you need farm equipment, they can help you finance your farm equipment as well over at First South Farm Credit. But whether you're buying the 1,000 acres for agriculture, maybe you're hunting camp in Texas or Mississippi, that recreational property, maybe it's a place up in Idaho or 1,000 acres in Montana, whatever you want. They can help you buy land anywhere in the lower 48, or maybe it's just a situation where you live in New Orleans, but you want to work in the city but have the rural lifestyle. Maybe move to the North Shore. They got the office there in Tangipahoa. In a meet, you can buy that land in St. Tammany or in Tangipahoa, live the rural lifestyle, commute into the city to work. So many options, and First South Farm Credit makes it happen. FirstSouthland.com, FirstSouthland.com. Thinking of buying land? Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, FirstSouthland.com. Let me react to that, Wilson's thoughts on Kiffin when we come back. And if you have a thought, I'd love to hear from you as well. You can always email us, tweet us, or text. You can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400, or, of course, 225-499-1045. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll continue here on AFR.
After further review.
If you're thinking about selling your home, why on earth would you call anyone other the realtor that sells more homes than anyone? Well, that's Darren James. We'll give you Darren's cell. 335-7666, 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com. You know, the number one complaint the National Association of Realtors gets? Hired a realtor, listed my home, never heard from him again. It's the number one complaint from the National Association of Realtors. With Darren James, you literally never have to worry about that. Darren's got a communication guarantee. If at any point, you hire Darren, if at any point you're not thrilled with the communication, the level of service, boom. Fire him, let you out of the contract, free and clear, no questions asked. But you know what? In Darren's entire career, no one has ever taken him up on it because nobody works harder, has the better systems and people and processes in place to get your home sold fast for more money. So call Darren James and get your home sold.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
And one more teeny weeny ride before I take her home. She thinks my track.
Shout out as always to our friends over at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. New location on Piku is open. Driving down I-10 in Baton Rouge, you can't miss it. That new Piku exit. If you're heading west, just look to your right between Highland and Seguin. You can't miss it. Sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. We got one on the text line.
Oh,
Got
okay.
one.
All right. What you got?
It's from Brad. Read my text message again.
Oh. Oh, nope. Can't do it, Brad. Sorry.
Can I get a ding or something? A laugh track or something over there. I gave him a thumbs up. So he replied, sorry, Matt. I was in the pool working out and voice texting. Not really sure why that went to you. My bad. So I said, laughing face emoji, all good. It really is. I'm glad he did it because now I got to use this. And he said, in Matt, we trust. Keep up the good work. Just heard today game day is going to be in town for the opener. Should be a killer engagement. I think I'll stay home for that one. Might get wild hair and go, who knows?
Sounds like he's got it figured out. Actually, it doesn't sound like he's got it figured out.
Sounds like Brad has nothing.
He's
Brad
just,
doesn't have figured out what he's going to do for the opener for game day, or what he's doing right now is he's working out, swimming in the pool, and why he's texting. He's voice texting me, and can't figure it. Brad sounds like a great guy.
Agreed there.
Very engaged here in the show. Doesn't have a lot going on. Chris Marler just did a graphic for the primetime games. And for LSU Ole Miss, he's got the LSU white helmet. I think I might fire him for that. I'm texting right now. Change it to the gold helmet or you're fired. And he may actually believe me.
He may actually believe you.
I'm waiting for a reply now.
The white helmet.
He's going to hastily change that helmet. All right, it's after further review. Glad that he texted today is not the day for that joke.
No.
I'm not joking.
No, come on now.
It's the easiest guy in the world to mess with. He's terrified of me. I'm a nice guy, right? I'm a nice guy. I'm intense. I work hard. I have high expectations of myself and others, but I'm a nice guy. Would you say I'm a nice guy?
I would say you're a nice guy, yes.
Paul, would you say I'm a nice guy?
Very nice guy.
Thank you. See? Did I just force both of you to say that I'm a nice guy?
No. I mean,
I'm scared.
Say I'm a nice guy, damn it!
I'm scared for my life over here.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, it's after further review. So, Wilson Alexander was just with, man, I really enjoyed our conversation earlier today with Chris Smith of Vanity Fair, who did the feature on Lane Kiffin. If you missed that, we have that up on demand already. Is it up yet? People can go listen.
Podcast wise, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I highly recommend if you missed it, go check it out. It was near the start of hour 2. It was the second segment of hour 2, and I know I've said this often on a lot of platforms. So at the risk of being repetitive, I apologize, but Lane Kiffin is such an interesting figure or character in college sports and all sports, really. And we've observed him from afar for a long time because literally for 20 years, when he was 31 years old, he got the Raiders job. So from being 31 and getting the Raiders job to flaming out there, getting back into the mix, going to working for Saban at Alabama, and then getting his head coaching opportunity. Well, I guess even going to Tennessee and then to Southern Cal, right? Leaving Tennessee after 1 year and then Southern Cal, they'll fire on the tarmac thing. Going to Saban's rehab school for coaches at Tuscaloosa and then FAU and then Ole Miss. He's been in our awareness for such a long time. But we don't really know Lane Kiffin. And so it's been fascinating, I think, to get a closer look view. And by the way, I would have said the same thing about Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly was the head coach at Notre Dame for more than a decade. That's a very high-profile job. He had some great seasons at Cincinnati. And so Brian Kelly was sort of a guy that was notorious, angry, yelling, red-faced. I mean, that was always my perspective of Brian Kelly, just from afar. I didn't know Brian Kelly at all. Never had a conversation with him. As I got to know him covering his LSU program, I had a much different opinion of Brian Kelly as a man, as a coach, all that stuff, than I would have just as a casual, distant observer watching Notre Dame games on TV and Brian Kelly yell and all that sort of stuff. He was super professional, organized, detail-oriented. I mean, to a schedule. I mean, I heard stories. It was one. I don't think you would mind me sharing this, but there was a time where I'll redact names, but there was a staff member. So Kelly was in a meeting, and he had an interview coming up, like a TV interview, and there was a staff member who was supposed to get him in time for the interview. Well, the meeting was running long, and the staff member didn't want to interrupt Kelly's meeting, and so he ended up being late for this TV appearance. And Kelly like undressed him, like, don't ever let me be late for anything. And so he was even just the whole rundown, the schedule for a day, a game day. I mean, all of that was just to the minute, which is very different, certainly from Les Miles and Ed Ogeron. I mean, Les was notoriously late for everything, and stories of Les just like as before the team, they would just on road games let's just take a lap, around the campus before we get on the bus and go to the airport. Just very different, right? And so just observing Kiffin, it's been fascinating to identify the differences between who Kiffin is publicly on social media and who he is, I think, personally and privately. You heard Wilson talk about that, right? Wilson said he got 45 minutes to sit with Lane last Thursday for the feature that dropped today on On3. And that was the first extensive time that he's had to talk to Lane Kiffin. He would describe him as an introvert. Chris Smith, who was here with us, spent 4 hours with Lane Kiffin across 2 days. 3 hours the first day, observed practice, was with him an hour the next day. They had multiple phone calls as well after that. And his line sort of infamously is like, I can't tell if he's full of bleep, and it's so interesting because I look at Lane with that context, right? I look at Lane Kiffin's career up to this point, and it makes sense to me why it's gone the way that it has, because he's a guy that doesn't give off the warm and fuzzies. Like, he is not a relational person. And this was some of what I heard from people who knew him or covered him or friends with him during his time at Ole Miss, as all that process was going when LSU was courting him and everything. And that really starts to make sense where you can say, why would this guy not jive with Jamarcus Russell when Russell was the number one pick in the draft? Well, this is sort of why. We learned Russell went through this situation where his uncle, who was really his father figure in his life, died. And it was devastating to Jamarcus, and it really affected him. And for Lane, I would assume at 31, 32 years old, that wasn't the thing that he was necessarily concerned with. I'm making an assumption there, by the way. I don't know that definitively. Why would you leave Tennessee after 1 year? Well, because everything's transactional. Why would you... I don't want to say he certainly didn't sabotage Alabama before the national championship game, but he was certainly more focused on what was ahead for his head coaching job at FAU to where Saban said, get out of here. And then Sark called plays in the national championship game. Then obviously everyone can understand leaving FAU for Ole Miss, but then leaving Ole Miss because this just isn't the guy that lets emotion dictate the things that he does. I look for contrast. Like, Blake Baker just had an opportunity to go be a head coach at his alma mater and passed on that opportunity. You hear players talk about Blake Baker. And by the way, this is not a criticism of Lane Kiffin or criticism of Baker or praise. It's just an observation to illustrate there are different personalities that run the top of this sport, which is, I think, natural and probably to be expected in every profession. But Blake Baker is a guy who, we see him running around the practice field. He's the guy that'll jump around, slap kids on the helmet. He's out there hat backwards running drills with him. We posted videos of that. You hear all the players talk about Blake Baker. He's my guy. Witt loves him. He's one of the Witt Week set on the record when we met with him this spring. When he was weighing his decision when he found out Blake Baker was coming back. Like, that's what sealed it, that he was coming back. I don't know that you necessarily have that with Lane. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing in this era. In another era, maybe that's a bigger deal, where you needed to have and develop relationships, cultivate relationships, to recruit. It just isn't really a thing anymore. Maybe it's the tiebreaker in certain instances if everything else falls in line. You know, like Corey Raymond's a great example of that. Haven Finney's here because of Corey Raymond. DJ Pickett's here because of Corey Raymond. You know, because of what he means to them, because of his ability to develop for the next level, as he has a long track record. But make no mistake, if the other pieces weren't in place, like if Corey Raymond were coaching at what would be an example of a place that doesn't have a great NIL budget or history? Wake Forest. If Corey Raymond were coaching at Wake Forest, DJ Pickett's not going to Wake Forest. Does that make sense? Like, all the things have to line up, and then the relationship can maybe be the tiebreaker, the thing that creates the tipping point. And you can do that with assistants and other things if you're Lane Kiffin, and you have the right systems in place to evaluate talent, build the roster and the program how you want. I just feel like this is the era more than any other that suits him. And he may not be a guy that a lot of people like. I mean, he's clearly been vilified in college football. Good, bad, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just the truth of him. But man, I think he's going to win with all the resources he has here. With his football acumen and the resources he has, he should win. Should win a lot. All right, so after further review, we are brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Hey, graduations here. I know a lot of high school graduations are this weekend. Maybe beautiful, timeless pearls from Lee Michaels. Maybe an elegant timepiece, a watch, would be an awesome gift for that graduate in your life. Great options over at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Maybe you got a wedding, a birthday, an anniversary coming up. Lee Michaels is an awesome place to thrill whoever's on your list with a gift in the red box. LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com. Maybe you're getting close to popping the question. When you start doing your shopping for that forever symbol of your love, you need to go to one place, Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. 9 locations in all: Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, Shreveport. Online at LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, y'all, it is after further review. Been a good show, man. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Jimmy will be here in 15 minutes for Otter Locks. When we come back, we'll switch quickly to the NFL. Got some updated Coach of the Year odds for Kellen Moore, including one outlet that thinks he's going to win it. We'll get to that as we continue. Stay here. It's AFR.
After further review.
Not too late to call River City's 1 Hour Air for your preseason AC tune-up. You know, it's still just May, but it's 83 degrees right now. And you know the triple-digit temps and the heat indexes are coming. So if you haven't done it yet, call River City's 1 Hour Air. I give you this analogy all the time, but it's the best thing I can think of. You wouldn't go drive across the country without getting your oil changed to make sure your car's in tip-top shape. You should not go through the summer in Louisiana without making sure your AC is running efficiently. It could be small issues that become very big, very expensive issues. It could just be that standard maintenance to make sure it runs efficiently and you extend the life of your unit. Because replacing an HVAC is not fun. So why wouldn't you want it to last as long as possible? Preventative maintenance matters. That's what this is. They'll save $30 off that system repair when you mention the Moscona special at River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She likes the way it's pulling while we're tilling up the land. She's even kind of crazy about my farmer's tan. She's the only one who really understands what gets me. She thinks my tractor's sexy.
Some disappointing news for Saints offensive lineman Nick Saldiveri. The Saints today have confirmed that they have put Saldiveri on the reserve PUP designation ending his 2026 season. maybe that's horrible luck. Maybe it's just a guy that's injury prone. But this is now the fourth consecutive season that Nick Saldiveri, the former fourth-round pick out of Old Dominion, has seen his season end early due to injury. So last year, Saldiveri was injured in training camp, so his season ended in early August before the season even started. And this is probably the end of Nick Saldiveri's time in New Orleans as a 2023 draft pick. This is the fourth year of his rookie deal, the final year of his rookie deal, and each now of those seasons has ended before they started. He didn't play a year ago. He won't play this year. So it is just it's likely that Nick Saldiveri is done in New Orleans. It may also speak to the right time to draft Jeremiah Wright. No pun intended. But taking the Auburn offensive lineman, and then Alan Herron as well as a rookie, and then adding David Edwards, you sort of fortified that interior. So when you look at Will Clapp's retirement, Nick Saldiveri injured again, your interior offensive line depth takes a hit. So Landon Young obviously is no longer with the Saints. So you look at the interior of your offensive line, and you've got Eric McCoy back off of injury. Cesar Ruiz is still there. You signed David Edwards. But this really is a massive training camp for Jeremiah Wright, the rookie fourth-round draft pick out of Auburn. He's a guy that you're going to count on to make this team, and if nothing else, give you consistent depth there on the interior, and maybe challenge Cesar Ruiz for that starting job at some point this year, not this year, take over for him as the starter at that right guard spot in 2027. But the news here, Nick Saldiveri, his season yet again over due to injury. All right, it's after further review. Do want to talk about Kellen Moore here in just a second. Hey, when the show ends today, I'm actually heading over to Supper Club tonight for dinner. Going to meet a few clients over there. Really excited about it. It's a great spot, I tell you all the time. If you're celebrating something, yes, Supper Club is an awesome place to go celebrate. We talk about that often. Whatever you might be celebrating, birthday, anniversary, graduation, get your reservations at supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. But any given night of the week is an awesome night just to pop in. Look, Chef Layton always does an amazing job getting new, interesting things on the menu. Last time I was at Supper Club, they had it was Australian Wagyu that he had gotten in that I was able to sample. So you never know what you might find when you go into Supper Club. But, man, maybe you're not a steak person. The Chilean sea bass, the Ora King salmon. I tell you all the time, I love the veal parm. It's one of my it might be my favorite non-steak. It is my non-favorite steak item on the menu. I just crave that veal parm. Go have the best meal of your life any night at Supper Club. Supperclubbtr.com. Supperclubbtr.com. I'll be there tonight. Hope to see you. Come on by for dinner at Supper Club. Covers.com today put out Coach of the Year odds. And interestingly enough, there's some out there actually predicting that Kellen Moore will win it. John Harbaugh is the betting favorite right now at plus 600. John Harbaugh, of course, now with the Giants. Jesse Minter, who replaced Harbaugh in Baltimore, has the second best odds at plus 800. Robert Saleh, new coach with the Titans, at plus 1,000. And then there's Kellen Moore at plus 1,200, followed by Joe Brady and Todd Monken, each at plus 1,400. So Kellen Moore with the fourth best odds to win the NFL Coach of the Year honor. So much of Coach of the Year is predicated on expectation. It's very seldom that like in college football, if you win the national championship, you're going to win all the Coach of the Year awards. Like Curt Cignetti this year won all the Coach of the Year, and should, right? I mean, his team was undefeated. They won the national championship. In the NFL, Coach of the Year almost is kind of like comeback player of the year. Who had the least amount of expectations that performed great? Well, for what it's worth, this piece at covers.com, they made picks for who they thought would actually go on to win all these awards, and their pick to win Coach of the Year is Kellen Moore, who's at plus 1,200 at DraftKings. So this piece over at covers.com said, based on last season's win-loss records, the Saints are set to have the second easiest schedule in the NFL. New Orleans could quietly emerge as a contender to win the NFC South, a title it hasn't claimed since 2020. So they do, in fact, pick. Covers.com is picking Kellen Moore to win the NFL Coach of the Year honors here in his second season. And Why not? I mean, this is a Saints team that when you look at the projected win totals is not projected to be a playoff team, but in a bad division. If Tyler Shuck, who only started 9 games a year ago, has that stair-step season, then maybe we could see a year where Kellen Moore does elevate. The Saints get back to the playoffs, and Moore can kind of be like what Mike Vrabel was this past year in New England. It's almost, relatively speaking, out of nowhere to raise up and have a great season. So just a little interesting there, man, as the Saints continue building here under Kellen Moore. Feels like that ship is pointing in the right direction for the first time in a long time. All right, it's after further review. Jimmy's going to be here for Auto Locks in a smidge. We're all brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com. Hey, graduation time is here. Maybe you're thinking of a vehicle for the graduate on your list. Graduate in high school, graduate in college, maybe sending them off to college with a new vehicle or setting them off into the next phase of their life after college graduation with a new vehicle. South Point Volkswagen. You get the style, feel, performance of luxury, all the safety features, the great price, which you'll love, and they'll love how stylish and fun it is to drive. Airline just north of Highland or SouthPointVW.com. Shop them online today. All the inventory, if it's on the lot, it's online at SouthPointVW.com. Work out your financing as well. SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, y'all, it is after further review. We'll knock out a final break of the show. Come back. Jimmy will be here for Auto Locks. Probably have time for what we learned as well. It's been a really good show. This ended up being a day where we talked a ton about Lane Kiffin. After he apologized for the Vanity Fair comments, we did talk to Chris Smith of Vanity Fair, Wilson Alexander, who dropped the Kiffin feature today. We had Wilson on the show. Great convo with Todd Walker last hour about LSU baseball and how Jay Johnson goes about reworking the roster. The fascinating part of that convo is going to be Jay has said they're going to lean more heavily on their high school recruits and developing in-house. The temptation to go into the portal and sign great players is going to be there. How does he balance that? We had that convo with Todd. It'll be really interesting to watch, but Jay's going to have a ton of time on his hands this offseason to rebuild for next year. All right, it's after further review. Let's knock out a final break of the show. Jimmy will be here for Auto Lock. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
I got a text from someone today who said, hey, my son's graduating high school. How does he enter that Gordon McKernan laptop giveaway thing? Like, yeah, you missed the boat. The entry deadline was the end of April the 30th. So you missed that. But, the laptop giveaway, we will be announcing the winners soon and excited about that. It's really always fun to be able to participate to whatever degree we can in all the philanthropic efforts Gordon does. Like the Christmas bike giveaway, we did AFR over at Gordon's office on the day that they gave away all the bicycles in Baton Rouge. So cool to see the staff at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys interacting with the children who are coming by to get their bicycles, the joy in their face. Really bright spot during the holiday season. Now the laptop giveaway for the graduating Louisiana high school seniors. And look, we've had great fortune to talk to G-Team members here over the years with the NIL deals they've done with Gordon. Bottom line is, you've been injured in an accident, you know what to do. GetGordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done. Brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana, where we always remind you to give them a shout to let them see if they can find you better coverage for less money, certainly when it comes to your business. And so often when it comes to home and auto, it's about having a great, reputable company. I was actually talking to a buddy of mine today who has State Farm for his homeowner's insurance, and they're going through a tough thing right now because they need a roof replacement, and State Farm is denying their claim. So maybe you get that lower premium with another company, but what kind of coverage are you going to get? And when it comes time to file a claim, are they actually going to be there to help you? Look, Insurance Network of Louisiana, they deal with some of the top-rated companies. They'll give you immaculate service. It's worth having them shop. Give them a buzz at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Otter had the Pistons last night, plus 3.5. Let's try it again. All right, the Pistons last night plus 3.5. But Lakers plus 12.5. Rays on the money line. Diamondbacks on the money line. Under 8 in the Diamondbacks Rangers. What a night! 4-1 for the Otta. Cashing tickets out here. So let's find out what we do for an encore. It's time for Otta Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Yo, Otter, what up?
How about Musso giving me a double on the Pistons, huh? I mean,
Well, it's just a delay. It was like a delayed reaction. So I wanted to get it so we could just churn them. You know what I mean? Just boom, 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 boom.
It's not my fault the Red Sox are horrible this year. Come on, Musso. Come on, man. Let's go to it. 5-pack for you tonight in the NBA. The funky Frenchman, Wembanyama, he is back. He is ready. I'm looking for the Spurs to lay it on him. We're going to lay that big number as well. The big one, we'll do it. Spurs minus 9.5. Just went 10 minutes ago at PNC in Pittsburgh. You're going to be very creative on how you can bet all teams. His last 4 starts has struck out 28. He's walked 0. So he's I don't have to break down his team is really good, but we're going to take minus 1.5 to minus 105. That's a Max Gotro special since he gave us that under. This is sweat last night, huh? The high score right on the number, huh?
Yep.
1-0.
I'll take it.
Max.
I'll take it. Here we go, Max. Hey. So Pirates first 5 on the run line. Okay, minus 1.5 first 5. Okay.
Right. They're averaging over 7 runs of run support in his 8 starts so far this year.
Babe.
If they are fishing, I mean, if they're biting and we are not limited, what is our favorite total team, Max?
Wait.
Matt, over.
Wait, real quick. The Pirates' first 5 literally just reset to minus 2.5.
That's a good sign. We're on our way then.
So there's a runner. It's bottom of the first, runner on second with nobody out. All right, so I'll wait. I'll wait and see what happens here in this half inning. Okay.
I might just lay the run line for the game if you're late at this point. So
it's 2.5 for the game at minus $1.23.
Well, the window of opportunity may have closed.
Yeah, so. All good. That's why you got to check the website early. My fault.
That's it. Who's our favorite over team? One of the most
Nationals.
There you go. Let's go get them again. Washington, Cincinnati over Nationals. What we love about the Nationals, the lineup. What we love even better about the over, when they throw Michaelis, their worst pitcher. Let's go. Give us Washington, Cincinnati over 9.5.
By the way, 8.5
what?
right now.
Oh, so I guess they started.
Don't be a moron.
It's a better line.
Don't be a
moron. Is this a better line?
No, they started. They're bottom 1 out.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, let's go. Another one. Let's go over to this little pond. They've been biting, huh? Tampa Bay.
Yep.
I mean, we are going to play them every day until they lose a series. So they rolled again last night, even have a more favorable pitching advantage tonight. Gives the Rays a soft number, minus 115. If you want to sprinkle a little run line as well, I would do that. I've done it myself. And in Milwaukee, a team that's getting healthier and getting better. They swept the Yankees over the weekend, and I know, but they're a soft number. San Diego is as good as their record is, half game lead over the Dodgers in the West. Their run differential, they've only outscored their opponents by 2. They've won so many walk-off games, so many close games. Give us the Brewers minus 135 in a pitching matchup, favorable pitching matchup there as well.
That is now minus $1.49. You still like it at that number?
Ooh, gosh, what happened there?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yes, but So that's why chalk early, dogs late.
Yep, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so recap. We got San Antonio on the hardwood tonight, laying the big number at 9.5, and then 4-pack in baseball. Pirates first 5 on the run line, although that's in game. And let me get an update, see if that run came across. Runner on second, still nobody out, so we're still holding steady there. National Reds over 8.5 now. Tampa Bay and Milwaukee on the money line. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We are at the OG, the original Sammy's, on Highland, just off of Starring. So kind of celebrating a stretch run till Father's Day for crawfish season.
Love it, man. Get you some crawfish tomorrow. Thank you, Otter.
All right, good luck.
I'm in. We'll see you. It's After Further Review. We are brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake. Success takes a team and not just on the field. At FMOL Health, that team is more than 20,000 strong, delivering care across Louisiana and Mississippi as one connected, mission-driven health system. As a $5 billion health system with nationally recognized quality and not one but two exceptional workplace awards from Gallup, FMOL Health has built something people trust and continues to grow to meet the needs of the communities they serve. It's bigger than sports. It's about having a health system you can count on. FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, and LSU. Together, we roar. Learn more at olrmc.com/LSU. olrmc.com/LSU. All right, y'all, it's been an awesome show, man. Thanks to all of our guests. Shay Dixon was here talking some Cruton in hour number 1. Chris Smith of Vanity Fair, who wrote the Kiffin feature. We had a great conversation with him last hour, along with former Tiger great Todd Walker, talking a little baseball. Wilson Alexander was here earlier this hour, talking about his Lane Kiffin feature. Maybe I'll write a Lane Kiffin feature. Paulie, what'd you learn today?
Lane Kiffin has a Tennessee bobblehead in his office.
How about that? Muse?
Steve Sarkisian wants a 14 playoff.
It's so crazy.
What'd you learn, Matt?
Lane's got the more important than the Tennessee bobblehead. He's got a bottle of mustard. He got a bottle of mustard. Remember they threw the mustard at him when he went back to Tennessee.
I remember.
Crazy guy. Wild and crazy guy. See you tomorrow.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, love to remind you about our friends at Arco Power Systems. Y'all, if the last 5 days, doesn't remind you of what storm season is like here, I don't know what will until the storm actually comes. And none of us want that, right? We want all the storms to leave us alone. Just drift off into the Atlantic and leave us alone forever. The reality of living here, though, is storms happen. Power outages happen. And when the storm's in the Gulf, it's too late to start preparing for your power outages. That's why you need to call Arco Power Systems now, today. Arco Power Systems, this is industrial Generac generator power. These are generators for your business, your industrial facility, your commercial building, government, municipalities, and Arco serves our entire region. ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com.